It's been quite a busy first year as CEO of the world's largest coffee brand, valued at $78 billion, and with 29,000 stores and hundreds of thousands of employees around the globe. Starbucks is a corporate progressive force, giving workers above-average benefits and boldly weighing in on issues like gun violence, gay marriage, and race relations. Let's meet the leader who says that, quote, a relentless pursuit of relevance is the key to success in today's dynamic global marketplace. Please welcome to the stage the president and CEO of Starbucks, Kevin Johnson.
Cliff, good morning.
Nice to see you.
Thank you.
They give you notes, and so you read the notes, but if you didn't have the notes, you'd probably be able to just be fine. So last Tuesday, something remarkable happened.
It was my birthday.
It was your birthday?
Yeah, it was.
Well, that's good.
Night.
That's congratulations. I did not know that.
Yeah.
So
I didn't get a birthday card.
Well, you did get a birthday card. A fearsome activist investor, Bill Ackman, came into your stock in a big way, $900 million, and wrote you a love letter and said, hey, I love this stock, I'm in. That doesn't really happen. Most people, when they think about activist investors coming in their stock, there's a huge trepidation, and suddenly everyone is hunkers down. But you got a real surprise there.
Well, I think clearly, over the last 3 years, our stock has been relatively flat. Mm-hmm. And over this last year, though, we've sharpened our strategy. Mm-hmm. We've streamlined the company by taking a number of actions, and we put ourselves in a position to really focus on 3 strategic priorities. Accelerating our growth in our targeted long-term growth markets of the US and China. Expanding our global reach on CPG and food services through our Global Coffee Alliance with Nestle. And sharpening our focus on shareholder value return. So I think the fact that we are focused on those things, really sets the stage for an opportunity to really accelerate the value creation for shareholders. And I think that's when I talk to a lot of our long-term investors, that's the opportunity before us.
Now, one of the other things that you did also is promise to give back in the form of dividends and share buybacks, a significant amount of money. It was $15 billion worth of value to shareholders in November. Then you upped that to $25 billion. How much of that was the attraction to, say, shareholders like Ackman, and how much of it is this ability to grow?
Well, I think it's both. If I look at, we're in a quiet period for our fiscal Q4, but I'll go back to our fiscal Q3. Okay. Fiscal Q3, we grew top-line revenue 11%, we grew earnings per share 13%, mm-hmm. and we closed on the Global Coffee Alliance with Nestle. And as part of that, Nestle paid us $7.15 billion in payment for that relationship, and we transitioned that business now to more of a licensing royalty model with a great partner. We're bringing our coffee on the Nespresso platform, Dolce Gusto, and we're going to take that globally. But as part of that, then the additional $7.15 billion translated into more cash on the balance sheet. Right. So that allowed us to increase the amount we are returning to shareholders over the next 3 years. And so, I got to say the value creation agenda has got to start with growth and sharpening our focus, and that growth is coming from, our targeted markets, US and China, our Global Coffee Alliance, mm-hmm. and then certainly that is creating the opportunity for us to return cash to shareholders in the form of dividends and buybacks.
It's interesting because I think everybody here faces the challenge of growth at scale. I mean, this is a conference of leaders of scale companies. They're all global leaders. And yet growth is, of course, the big challenge to do that in a way that's consistent with your values, that is that allows you to grow in a way that you can sustain it as well, sustainable. So the area where you've really pushed hard and had a lot of learnings is China. A lot of other companies haven't done as well there. What's the secret there?
Well, certainly, as you mentioned, Cliff, we're now at 29,000 stores globally, 78 countries. We serve 100 million customers a week, and we have over 330,000 Starbucks partners who proudly wear the green apron. Right. And when you look around the world and you see the opportunity, addressable market in coffee and the growth that's coming, you have to look at China. You know, first of all, in China today, we've been in China now for 20 years. We started in China 20 years ago, and throughout that 20 years, we've continued to build our business in a way that we believe is respectful to the Chinese culture. It's done in a way that resonates with the Chinese consumer, and we are introducing predominantly a tea culture, tea drinking culture, to premium espresso coffee beverages. And so today we're roughly 3,500 Starbucks stores in China, and we continue to grow. We're opening a new store in China on average every 15 hours.
Wow.
And so we have significant growth opportunity ahead.
You know, one of the things that you've done there, though, is that you've really changed the management of those of those stores to local executives and managers who are crafting everything from, you know, the way the stores look, these beautiful 30,000-foot roasteries, but also the benefits and things like that. And so talk a little bit about how much autonomy the Chinese stores have.
Yeah. Well, first of all, in China, we we started in a joint venture with another joint venture partner that we own 50% of in East China. And then as part of our journey, we started building out Western China as part of our company-operated environment. And a year ago, we deployed about $1.5 billion of capital to acquire 100% of the joint venture. So we've unified mainland China as a company-operated market. And the philosophy and the principle is that it's built in China for China. So we have every aspect of what it takes to run a Starbucks in China. Belinda Wong is our Chief Executive Officer of Starbucks China. We have a store development team that picks the real estate. They design the stores. They work with local contractors to build them. We have a food and beverage R&D team. We have a digital tech team. Every aspect of China is built in China for China under Belinda's leadership.
And the digital tech is key because in terms of digital mobile payments, 60% of your transactions are mobile in China. 60% are paid through a smartphone.
That's right. And what I would highlight is that, you know, with any modern day retailer today, brick and mortar retailer, there's two transformative elements of modern day retail. The first is you have to create a customer experience in your store that makes that a destination for the consumer. And second, you have to extend the experience in the store to a digital mobile relationship. We've done that, certainly in China with our mobile app and with our partnerships with Alibaba and Tencent on WeChat Pay and Alipay. Over 60% of our tender in China is paid for digitally. In the US, 40% of our tender is with our loyalty program, the majority of that paid for mobily. So mobile payment and that digital relationship is really critical to extending the experience we create in our stores.
So 40% of your payments in the US are mobile. That makes you the largest mobile payer in the United States.
That's right. It's the largest mobile payment platform in the US.
So it's bigger than Apple Pay in the US. That's
my understanding, yeah. And so,
wow.
You know, we focus on that. And in China, and I recently announced a strategic partnership with Alibaba. And, you know, I had an opportunity to start working with Daniel Zhang over a year ago in Hangzhou. And Alibaba and Starbucks have a shared vision that is called New Retail. And New Retail is how we're taking the best of software R&D in the way that you can create these experiences and use everything from artificial intelligence to a digital mobile relationship to delivery and integrating that with the brick and mortar experience. And so that's what that Alibaba partnership really is all about.
So I want to talk a little bit about that brick and mortar experience because part of what Starbucks did is they created the coffee drinking experience where people used to go get their cup of joe at the diner into an experience, you know. you know, and obviously you've been doubling down on that with the roasteries and others. But how do you balance that with growth in the CPG world? I mean, you know, right now you've got this big Nestle deal. It's bringing in a lot of money. Can a company be both? Can it be a premium experience and something you get, you know,
yeah, let me describe how I think about this. First of all, the Starbucks brand is created in our stores. Mm-hmm. The fact that we have 100 million customers come to our stores each week, mm-hmm. that's where the brand is created, the experience we create in the store. And that experience is everything to do with the way we design stores and create the third place. It's everything to do with the baristas and the partners we have that create a warm, welcoming environment for our customers. Has everything to do with creating custom, handcrafted beverages at scale to your preference. That creates the brand. Mm-hmm. Now with that experience creates the brand, then taking our brand into CPG and food services amplifies the brand. So I think that the Starbucks retail stores create the brand. CPG and food services are a brand amplifier in those markets. And
you don't worry about one sort of eating into the other, that the CPG?
No. This is all about a relationship with our customers. And if they have coffee at their office or at home on a single serve platform, we want them to enjoy premium Arabica coffee from Starbucks. And when they want the third place experience and a handcrafted espresso beverage or a Tivana beverage in our food, they can come to our stores.
So in a minute, I want to open it up to this illustrious audience for questions. So if you've got something in mind, please think about, just raise your hand. Oh, we've got starting to see some hands go up. And so we can get a paddle over to you. But I want to before we do that, I just want to talk a little bit about what the brand Starbucks means, because so much of what the company has stood for is getting out there as part of, on a number of social issues, whether it was gay rights, as we talked about. You were way ahead of the game on benefits plans. Last week as well, in addition to the Ackman news, you extended benefits for childcare so that, parents who didn't have to worry, if they, suddenly had a childcare emergency. This is something that you have, made front and center as a role, and your predecessor certainly did. Does that get in the way sometimes of leading a global brand, being part of all these conversations?
Actually, I think it's quite the opposite. The fact that the Starbucks brand is built around a mission that is grounded in the human experience. You think about the mission statement: to inspire and nurture the human experience, one person, one cup, one neighborhood at a time. And to do that, it begins by us taking care of our Starbucks partners. That's why we were the first company to offer health care benefits for a part-time worker of 20 hours a week or more. It's why we provide stock options or stock units, equity to our partners. It's in the form of we call it beanstalk, and that's why we call them partners. They are owners in the company. It's why we introduced the College Achievement Plan, where in the United States, a Starbucks partner can work part-time for us and then get their education from ASU and graduate debt-free. And so we're constantly finding things that allow us to attract the kinds of Starbucks partners who really are in the business of creating a great experience for our customers.
And is that helping with turnover? I mean, can you show, for example?
No question. The attrition and the turnover we have is lower than all industry benchmarks.
Okay.
And so that allows us now to build a relationship
so
with
you
customers.
can make a business case for this as well as a moral case.
Absolutely.
Let me see. I saw a bunch of questions out there. Maybe we just, okay. We've got one behind, right there over, okay, well, let's go to a non-fortunate person. Yeah, right there on the left. Yeah. I mean, I always want to hear from Adam Lashinsky, but we've got a question right here. Could you just let us know who you are?
I'm Dennis Aboud with ReaderLink. We're the largest book distributor in the world. Recently, I went into a Barnes & Noble store and attempted to buy a cup of coffee with my Starbucks app, and they wouldn't accept it. And I was kind of wondering, with 40% of the sales trending towards mobile payment, why wouldn't an arrangement have been made with somebody like that has 600 units?
Yeah, it's a good question. In the U.S., Most of our stores are company operated. We do have license relationships for stores with partners like Target, Marriott, grocery stores, and certainly Barnes & Noble. And in the vast majority of those relationships, all of them, as far as I know, they have the ability to take the mobile app and mobile payment. Sometimes they don't necessarily redeem, when you go to redeem a reward if you earned one. But I'll follow up and figure out why that wasn't the case.
See,
but
customer service directly to the CEO.
That's right.
This is I love it.
That's what I love about Starbucks. I get a lot of
feedback.
feedback in this job, Cliff. So
we've got a question over there. Yeah, identify
Hey, I'm
yourself.
Corey Johnson with Ripple. My company's focused on payments and blockchain across borders, but I'm curious, if you're doing 40% of U.S. revenue in mobile, that's about $6.2 billion last year. Why not set up your own rails or do it yourself? Why are you still using the rails that exist for payments? You're as big a player as anyone who could do that and probably save yourself 600 basis points or so.
Yeah, I think that clearly we have a number of partnerships that create the payment rails. We've got a partnership with Chase, got a partnership with a number of the payments companies. Part of this is we want to provide customers choice. We want customers to choose what payment platforms they use. And then part of it is just for us to stay focused on our core business. Getting into payments is not something that has bubbled up to the priority list, just simply because we have so many other priorities that we need to focus on to drive value for shareholders.
Right. We have another one somewhere, right in the back. Yeah.
Hi, Ajita Rajendra from A.O. Smith Corporation. Being clearly a U.S. brand in China, are you seeing any impact in the day-to-day business in China because of a combination of reasons? Obviously, the trade wars, and also the fact that it seems like consumer confidence is kind of waning a bit in China, and the Chinese consumer is pulling back.
Yeah, let me first comment that we've been in China for 20 years, and we are playing the long game in China. It's why we acquired 100% of the East China joint venture to unify mainland China's company operated. It's why we're building 600 new stores in China every year for the next 5 years. And so we're playing the long game. When it comes to the geopolitical situation, certainly we monitor everything that's happening on trade. We're not immune from geopolitical, but thus far we haven't seen any significant impact from that thus far. I would say you highlighted the fact that consumer confidence in the economic situation in China, maybe has softened a little bit. And I just comment in Q3 of our fiscal year, we did have a slightly negative same-store comparable number, as did every other large food and beverage merchant that reported their earnings publicly. And maybe that's attributed a bit to that. But we're playing the long game. And even with that, in our Q3, we grew total transactions in China in the mid-teens. We grew revenue in the high teens in China. And so we are very committed to the growth agenda in China.
Kevin Johnson, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great conversation.
Thank you.